Hello my friends and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about 5 unbelievable things that happen during a spiritual awakening. So before we get started, please like and subscribe to the channel. This will allow me to grow the channel, get better collabs, better guest speakers, and essentially provide you with more value. So go ahead, like and subscribe, and thank you for being here. So before we get into these 5 unbelievable things that happen during a spiritual awakening, let's just talk very quickly about what a spiritual awakening actually is. In a nutshell, a spiritual awakening is just one small slither of a greater whole. It's one small part of the spiritual journey at whole, okay? So it's like a little jigsaw piece from a greater puzzle. It doesn't feel like a little jigsaw piece. It feels like sometimes an absolute roller coaster of emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic upheaval, right, in the body and in your life, in your world at whole, because it's a huge shift in your journey of life. What is a spiritual awakening? What's actually happening inside of the body when we experience such a huge shift? Inside of our body, we have a light force energy called Kundalini. It resides right at the base of the body. Everybody's got it there. Now, forces in general, forces of nature, aren't necessarily seen by the eye. But what happens when we go through this spiritual awakening is this light force energy, sometimes known as our truest creative authentic potential, rises up through our central energy channel, opens all of the chakras, the main energy centers in the body that receive information from the universe. And what happens when this happens is it raises our awareness. It raises our consciousness so we can see things more clearly. Okay, we can see things for the truth of what they really are. So when that actually happens, as you can imagine, all of these things that we've either learned or been told or been conditioned to believe, or all of our experiences that we've had in life, whether they're experiences that we relate to being a positive experience, whether they're experiences that we relate to being a not so positive experience, or something in between, just all of our different layers of experience and information and memories and all of this that we experience as a human, it starts to change and it starts to shift as we raise our awareness, as we open these energy channels, sometimes known as our psycho-emotional centers. What happens is we start to see things as they really are, and we start to shift in our self-realization to the point where we can become the observer of what is going on around us, what is going on inside of us. We start to explore more as if we've had our veil lifted from us. We start to explore more multi-layers of life, more multi-layers of existence. The veil between the spirit world and the physical world can even get a lot thinner, and we start to have this big, vast experience of life, which can become very overwhelming during a spiritual awakening, because we're starting to see things differently. We're starting to feel things differently. We're starting to feel things more. We're starting to sensitize ourselves to the depth of life. So essentially, when we go through the spiritual awakening, we are going through a raising of our awareness. So when our awareness starts to raise, so does our ability to see things for what they are. So we start to transform and shift and change and release, heal and grow. And this can all be pretty overwhelming. Let's get into the 5 unbelievable things that happen during a spiritual awakening. I'm going to start with number 1, good place to start, which is physical changes. You might notice as you're going through a spiritual awakening that your physical body actually changes shape and your appearance might change as well. Let's get into the body. You might fluctuate in weight. You might gain weight or you might lose weight. I gained weight during a spiritual awakening because I gained water retention. Now, water retention or water is a huge conductor of energy. And if you stay to the end of this video, I'm going to talk about how your energy speeds up and what you can do about it during the spiritual awakening. And this is why our body starts to work with us. As your energy starts to shift and change, water retention can happen in the body. It's a huge energy conductor. So changes start to happen because we've got a built-in healing system inside of our body. Our body has an innate wisdom. It has an innate guidance system. It's got an innate intelligence. It knows what to do. So my advice to you, if you're going through a spiritual awakening, would be to trust that your body knows what it's doing. Now, this is quite a hard thing to do, and it's something you're actually getting reminded to do during the spiritual awakening, continuously throughout life. And before the spiritual awakening, you might have found yourself giving your power away, giving your trust away to exterior authorities and exterior sources. Okay, when you're not feeling very well, you ask everybody else but yourself. When you're not understanding how to move through the next step in your business or work, or you're not really sure what next step to take on your path, your journey, whatever it is that you're doing, you might source every exterior bit of information instead of actually listening to what it is that you really want. Okay, we have continuously given our power away in these ways. Education, social circles, different forms of conditioning and belief systems, all fine and dandy, but have we forgotten to listen to our innate intelligence, our internal sat-nav? And when you go through the spiritual awakening, we are shifting our awareness back inside so that we can start to trust ourselves again. So when you're having these physical experiences, these physical changes, I just want to let you know that your body knows what it's doing, and honor that. Listen to your body and honor it. Recognize that, okay, I might be having some water retention, and this is a powerful energy conductor. The body knows what it's doing during this time. It's processing things. Or it might be that I'm being urged to slow right down during my spiritual awakening. Maybe I'm used to doing things at the speed of light and not completing jobs and not being very present and moving and flitting between things at a very fast pace and using my mind a lot to complete or not complete sometimes tasks. Continuously thinking about the next thing and the next thing and goals and the future. What if Kundalini, the light force energy, likes to flow with nature? You might know this little quote: none of nature rushes, yet all gets accomplished. Now, during your spiritual awakening, it's really important to recognize that you are part of nature, and nature doesn't rush. Nature is patient, yet all gets accomplished at the time it needs to get accomplished. So welcome those fluctuations in weight. Welcome those fluctuations in the way in which you are doing things, because your body is responding to and transforming and making its way through this new way to align itself to a completely different transformative experience. Next thing, when it comes to the physical changes, is your appearance might even change. I actually looked in the mirror at times and I didn't even recognize myself. Okay, and that can be quite disorientating. But what I want to add to that is when you start to look at yourself beyond what the physical body is, that physical structure, that physical vessel, start to see through the physical vessel and see to a deeper exploration of life. And you start to do the same with everybody else as well. So you start to sort of see into the soul, and it's much deeper experience of seeing someone or seeing something. And that can make the face or the physical appearance become different, become even warped. And that's because what you're seeing changes and transforms and moves. The only constant is change, right? It's not necessarily that the face is changing, but the fact that you're seeing through a new lens might be changing, okay? So you can imagine, or I'll give you a little example. You go to the opticians to get some new glasses. Before, you couldn't see something. It was a little bit muffled, your sight, and then you get these new glasses. You put the glasses on, it's like, whoa, this is new. It's a similar thing in the spiritual awakening. Is you're starting to have to adjust to seeing through a new lens. And it's not just the lens of these very physical eyes. We also start to see things from a much more open, broader perspective, different dimensions, different experiences of life, different subtleties that are going on around us. Things start to change and things start to transform. So just surrendering to that and allowing yourself to listen to your body's intelligence system. Learn to trust yourself again. Number 2, ways of doing things change. Maybe you are used to doing things in a certain way. Maybe you've been taught or told or conditioned throughout life to get up a certain time or go to bed at a certain time time, or put this into your routine. Don't put that into your routine. Make sure you do work in this way. Make sure you're productive in that way. All these different things that we pick up. But have you actually listened to how you want to do it? Have you actually taken a moment to listen to your inner body and your inner sat-nav, your inner teacher, and gone, how do you want to do it? What's the most important way for me to go about this day? Okay, when you go through the spiritual awakening, your kundalini, your light force energy wants to move with nature. Okay, she wants to move with a little bit more flow and a little bit less rigidity. So you might start to shift things up. You might start change the way in which you do things. It might not all be about goals and action and effort. You might start to add into your day surrender and ease and process and come back into that more feminine energy and find some more balance, some more equanimity in your life. So number 3 is there might be a huge confusion between intuition and ego. As you start to awaken to your truest authentic potential, your truest nature, you also awaken to your intuition. Because we're used to spending a lot of time in the head brain, in the mind, which is very, very fast, we have forgotten to listen to the other brains, the heart brain and the gut brain. These two spaces as well are very, very, very intuitive spaces. The head brain is also intuitive. This is the clairvoyance. The heart brain is intuitive. This is the clairaudience. The gut brain is intuitive. This is the clairsentient. As you start to raise your awareness, you start to become more intuitive because you are working with other areas of your body and subtle bodies as well, not just your mind. And what can happen is during this teething stage of actually starting to trust and listen to your intuition, you will be like, oh no, is this intuition or is this an intrusive thought? I'm not quite sure which is which, okay? And that can be quite hard to deal with. Sure, it can be quite hard to deal with because if you're anything like me in the past, I suffered with health anxiety and OCD. So I get a lot of intrusive thoughts coming into my head. And these thoughts might be something like, oh no, there's this wrong with you. You must sort this out very quickly. Panicky thoughts that put the fear of God into me. And I'm struggling to think, okay, so now I've had this spiritual awakening. I know that I've started to feel things differently and tap into my intuition. But is this intuition or is this an intrusive thought? And it can become quite fearful. It can be very anxiety inducing and confusing. Now, I want to give you a little tip as how you can make sure it's intuition and not an intrusive thought. For example, intuition is quiet. It whispers. But when it whispers, when it speaks, it's full of clarity. It just knows. It's very clear. Intrusive thoughts and the ego and the mind are flitting from one thing to the next. They are inconsistent. They are harsh and attacking. So that's the difference. The intuition is quiet, but powerful and clear. The mind is confused, fast, and unclear. So that's the way in which you might be able to tell the difference. And as you start to learn to trust yourself a lot more, which is a really powerful part of the spiritual awakening, you're learning to trust your inner power, your innate design as a human being. And it's such a powerful place to be. It's such a beautiful place for growth. You learn to trust that more. You start to understand which is intuition and which is just an intrusive thought trying to attack you and trying to bring you back into that overthinking state and stop you from listening to that deeper part of yourself. Now, number 4 is you become more sensitive. Now, if you're already a very sensitive person, sensitive to emotions, sensitive to energy, sensitive in general, this can be a very, very overwhelming part of the experience of a spiritual awakening. So what I want to say during this time is as you start to become more sensitive, it's really, really important to recognize that this will pass. This too will pass. Okay? And it's important that you do become more sensitive because we become more sensitized even to our body. We start to feel things more. Our emotions that we might have been suppressing or repressing during our lives start to raise to the surface so we can feel them, so we can watch them, so we can release them, so we can deal with them. Okay? And so they're no longer just suppressing and clogging up our energy centers as well. So we feel them more. And this can become quite painful, right? Because feeling stuff is painful. And that's why we tend to suppress them in the first place. So we become more sensitive to emotions. We become more sensitive to other people's emotions and other people's energy. And we pick up on it a lot, which might make you want to feel like you need to recluse a lot. Sometimes you get confused. Is this my energy? Is this my emotion? Is this my feelings? It can be very overwhelming as we start to become much more sensitive. We also become more sensitive to our own energy inside of our body. The energy that's moving inside of our body. You might have this new experience of feeling like you are like plugged into the universe and you're like, whoa, like what's going on here? I've got like current running through our body. You've become more sensitive to other systems inside of the body. We all know the muscles, we all know the skeleton because we can see it, we can feel it, but we're not so used to the energy that are running inside of our body because we sort of shut them off. We've gone, oh, they're not there. I haven't seen them before. We've been told to, we've been taught to. Just because it's not tangible, just because we can't see it with the real eye, it doesn't mean to say it isn't there, like Wi-Fi. For example, the energy starts to come more in the body. Now, the fifth thing I want to give, I'm going to give a little tip here, is our energy starts to speed up during a spiritual awakening. Okay, it starts to speed up like you're on speed. This is a good thing, and it can also be a very challenging thing. It's a good thing because we start to manifest quicker. Things that we've wanted throughout our life start to just come. They just start to come like into our life, like the speed of light. We start to form relationships that are really integral to our life. We start to meet people who bring a lot of depth into our life. We start to transform our life and start to go down a little bit more of an aligned path, if you like. These are all great things, but there's another half of this when the energy starts to speed up and the energy starts to move as in a big, fast spiralic action. It can be very dizzying. It can be dizzying for the physical body. It can be dizzying for your energy. The energy can feel very out of balance. So you tend to feel lightheaded sometimes, anxious quite a lot of the time, fearful. And it's really important to start to ground your energy. Bring your energy back down into your vastu, your dwelling place, your root chakra. Here's a quick meditation that you can do if you're going through periods in your day where you feel like your energy is too speedy and it's disorientating. You can chant the mantra LAM, which is related to the root chakra, LAM. It sounds like LUM, and you can do it 10 times just sitting in a meditation position. And it goes a bit like this. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, chant LAM. Then you'll feel that vibratory frequency right down at the base of the spine, at the root chakra, and this will ground your energy. I've put instructions to this meditation in the description of the video. So that's it from me today. They are the 5 things that are unusual during a spiritual awakening. There are many more. There's always a support network out there for you. Ask me any questions in the comments section and like and subscribe to this channel and you'll get more of these videos. Lots of love. Take it easy. Ciao. Hi guys, thanks for watching that video with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. If you would like to watch any more videos, there's 2 here just for you.